So what is a polymeter? What's a polymetric timetable? What's a polyrhythm? What's a polyrhythmic timetable? These are all different things. They're related in a way, but they're different. Here's the difference. A polyrhythm is various groupings of notes with different subdivisions that resolve within the same amount of time. For instance, a quarter note, which is a duple subdivision, and a quarter note triplet, which is a triplet subdivision. We have 1, 2, 1, 2. In the same spaces we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So in that manner, a polyrhythmic timetable would be increasing the amount of notes that you squeeze into the same amount of time. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So you're speeding up the notes to make them fit in the same amount of time. That's a polyrhythmic timetable. Now let's look at polymeters and polymetric timetables. A polymeter is different groupings of notes with the same subdivision that resolve at different times. For instance, the same subdivision would be 16th notes. 4 16th notes would be a quarter note, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. And we could do a 3-note grouping of 16th notes. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Now you would think that those resolve at the same time but have different amounts of notes in them. That is true, but we are playing what's called a native polymeter, which means resolution within one measure. If we're in 3, 2, 3, the dotted eighth note or the 3-note grouping will resolve every one measure of 3, 4 time. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a. But if we're talking about quarter notes, common time, duple subdivisions, we need to be in 4, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Oh, they don't fall together because it only resolves as a native polymeter within 3, 4 time signature, the dotted eighth note. So if we're going to play 4, 4 time, it takes 3 measures for everything to recycle and come back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's a polymeter. Now, a polymetric timetable would be kind of the opposite of a polyrhythmic timetable. A polyrhythmic timetable, like we said, we're going to squeeze more and more notes into the same amount of time. So the more notes we play, the faster we have to be to make it fit within the same amount of time. A polymetric timetable would be the opposite. Every time we add a note, the phrase gets longer and longer and longer because the accents at the beginning of each of the groupings of notes gets farther apart. For instance, if we're playing 1-to-1 ratio, we're accenting every single note. If we're playing a 2-to-1 ratio, we're playing every other note. A 3-to-1 ratio would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. A 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. See how it gets further and further apart? That's polymetric. So what we want to do when we create the polymetric timetable, there's a lot of different ways to do this. There's some great exercises. One would be 1s, 2s, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Back down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's a polymetric timetable. Now what makes these interesting is when we put them on top of a pulse. Now I'm always going to say on top or with or together. I don't say against. I never want to use the word against because that defeats the purpose of music. We want things to be in harmony. We want things to work together. So whether it's 7 with 5 or 11 with 3, it's always with. So get in that habit of kind of being on the positive side of things and saying with. It's an 11 with a 3. It's a 7 with a 5. It's not 7 against 5. It's not, whatever. It's with. I like to use the word with. So the way to do the exercise that I performed earlier on the drum set is we need to get all the other components together. Now, if you noticed, the right hand on the ride cymbal is doing the polymetric timetable. Everything else is a constant ostinato, which means a repetitive pattern that never changes. The pattern happened to be quarter notes on the bass drum, 2 and 4 on the hi-hat, and every second and third eighth note triplet. Triplet, triplet. So just getting that coordination together can be a challenge. So let's do that for a little while. Let's get really used to that. When we're doing these drum mantra exercises, the word mantra means lots of repetition. We're going to do these as a meditation. So the best way to master something is with muscle memory. Now, the better we build muscle memory, the better we're going to be able to execute an idea in the moment when we're playing music. So to develop muscle memory, we want to do a lot of repetitions of something. So that's the idea of drum mantra, rhythmic repetition. So we're going to play this pattern, and I'll go over to the drum set and we'll do it over there for a long time. Just get used to the pattern before we even introduce the polymetric timetable. Okay? So let's do that now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we're going to play quarter notes on the bass drum, and we're going to fill in the eighth note triplets, the second and third note of the eighth note triplet on the snare drum. And once that is comfortable, we're going to add 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. We're just going to play this for a very, very long time. Make it really comfortable. It has to be second nature before we introduce anything else. Okay, now let's play 16 measures of that ostinato and then end on the downbeat of the 17th measure. It's super important to be able to keep track of where you are when you're playing. So being able to start to sense a 4-measure phrase, an 8-measure phrase, a 16-measure long phrase, super important. You have to really start to train yourself to hear these phrase lengths so you can keep track of where you are. Okay, so here we go. Let's do a 16-measure long repetition of that ostinato groove. Okay, here we go. Okay, now let's look at introducing the ride cymbal pattern. This is the whole feature of the polymetric timetable exercise that we're doing. But before you're ready for the ride cymbal, make sure that your feet and hands in the ostinato are completely rock solid, like you can do it in your sleep. Then we'll start adding the hand. So the first thing we want to do is just play every single eighth note triplet with the right hand. It's going to be exactly with the kick and both snare hits. Ride cymbal, right with the kick and snare. Let's try that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. Let's go to the next ride cymbal variation. This is every other eighth note triplet with the right hand, so it's basically a 2-note grouping. The challenge is the right foot and the left hand are playing a 3-note grouping. Kick, snare, snare, kick, snare, snare, kick, snare, snare, kick, snare, snare. The right is playing triplet, 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 trip. So it's every other one. Let's give that a try real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. Now we get to relax a little bit. This next one is simple because now we're playing every third accent with the ride cymbal, and it just so happens to line up with the bass drum because the bass drum is playing every third note. Kick, snare, snare, kick, snare, snare, kick, snare, snare, kick, snare, snare. Ride, 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 ride. Let's give that a try. This should feel really comfortable and very simple. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I hope you enjoyed your vacation because now things are about to get tricky. The right hand is now playing every fourth eighth note triplet. Triplet, 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 triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're playing 4-note grouping here. We're playing a 3-note grouping with the bass drum and the snare drum. Leave the left foot out. Let's just get really used to it. Just play this thing for a long time. It's gonna take some time. Okay, here we go. Here's the demonstration. Play along with me and then just stop this video and keep on working on your own. And then I'll see you when you're ready for the next step. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I hope you really spent some good time with that 4/3 grouping. It's not easy, but it needs to be fluid, so I hope you really have worked through this because we're about to go into territory that's completely wacko, and if you're not solid with that 4, the 5 is going to be really weird. So make sure you're ready to go to the 5. 5-note groupings, every 5th, 8th note triplet. Triplet, 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 triplet. 1, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 3, 4, 5. Triplet, 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 triplet. Okay? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it might be next week. If you've been working on this a lot, I don't know, maybe it's right now. Of course it's right now, but it might have taken you some time to get this one happening. The 5-note grouping with the 3-note grouping, completely abstract, but becoming very hip, very current. It's a rhythmic rhythm that you're starting to hear, so it's worth your time to get this super solid, to be able to hear it, to be able to sense it, to be able to do it. Okay, you get a little break now. So we're going to now go to every 6 notes on the ride cymbal which is perfect because it lines right back up with the bass drum. Triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's go over to the drum set and do it. I'll see you in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now we're going to get into some serious business again. The 7 notes grouping, every 7 eighth note triplets. Triple it, 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 triple it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it. There's a pattern. Figure out the pattern, and the hand will follow. Figure out where the hand falls in this whole thing. This is not something that you can just kind of hear. You have to really understand what is going on to make it work. You can't just feel it. You can't just guess it. This is kind of math. This is kind of the science part of drumming. Now, we don't want to live in the science and math world for long. We want to be there just long enough to understand the concept, get it in our bodies, make it part of our muscle memory, and then we can go into the creative, artistic expression side of music. But the technical practice requires precision, and precision on this level requires complete understanding of every moment that you are in. Okay? Simple as that. Let's go over, try it out, and I'll see you in a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, finally, believe it or not, this one is not easy either. Even though it's an 8-note grouping, we go, oh, 8, that's easy, that's fine. But we're still playing a 3-note grouping here. So now you go, oh, all of a sudden you wake up and say, oh, 8 and 3, man, those things don't line up very well at all. So here, again, there's a pattern. There's a structure to it. Triple it, 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 triple it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Triple it, 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 triple it. Okay? There's a pattern. It's awkward. You're going to start to feel where that hand falls in comparison to the rhythm that your foot and hand are playing. Again, we're just leaving the left foot out for a while, just getting this thing happening. It's a lot. There's a lot to it. Okay, let's go over the drum set. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. Now that you have all of the individual components of the polymetric timetable over 3s, Now you can start working on getting them glued together, back to back. That way you can start to get the fluidity of the exercise down. Now this is a meditation, absolutely a meditation. When you're playing this, you don't want to just perform it once and play 1 to 8 back to 1 and then you're done. This is a thing it's a cycle. It's a meditation. So you're going to go up and down and up and down and up and down. You're just going to keep on doing it. And think about what's going on. Try to pay attention to the experience that you're having while you're doing the exercise. Otherwise, it's just a little technical trick, and that's not the point. The point is to be centered and focused and comfortable doing something that's pretty abstract. Allowing your muscle memory to really kick in. Your muscle memory is not going to kick in after one repetition of this thing. Play for 30 minutes. Play for an hour. See how long you can play it. The challenge that I'm doing myself right now is I'm trying to incorporate my breathing. So the first subdivision of ones, inhale. Twos, exhale. Threes, inhale. Fours, exhale. Fives, inhale. Sixes, exhale. Sevens, inhale. So the breath gets longer each time. So you have to really think about how quickly you're inhaling and how quickly you're exhaling, trying to inhale and exhale the same amount of time to get all the air in and get all the air out, but expanding each time. It's very hard. That's what I'm working on right now. Then I see it as becoming a complete meditation, because when you're focusing on your breath and your body is doing this crazy pattern, that's when you're in drum mantra. That's when the meditation, that's when the rhythmic repetition and the whole experience of kind of merging with the whole thing happens. You're paying attention to everything and you're allowing everything to happen. You're observing the way that it feels, you're observing the way that it sounds. There's your exercise. So that's what the goal is. The goal is not to do a fireworks performance for Instagram, which the video I put up this morning was that, and I had to play it way faster than I was comfortable with because I wanted it to fit into the 1 minute on Instagram, and you saw the video at the beginning of this as well. But the purpose of this exercise, sure, fast is important. Fast is great. Slow is great. But I think there's a lot bigger challenge in slow because there's a lot more space. There's a lot more time to think. And when you start to think, you start to lose track. So we want to do this at a nice medium tempo for just a nice long extended amount of time. Okay? So join me. I'm going to play it slower now. I'll do a couple repetitions and then you're on your own. Good luck. Happy practicing. Take care. 1, 2, 3, 4.